Oh, hi. I didn't see you there. How's it going? Right now we're in the process of painting the house different colors, so if you see shit lying around, that's because we're moving stuff from room to room. We're not hoarders. But that being said, that's not gonna stop me from doing what I do best. Talking about stuff. So recently, I took a gander at my old video, an in-depth analysis look at Cry of Fear, and I remembered something that I forgot about. I was going to do a video on Afraid of Monsters, but I never got around to playing it. Well, thankfully, I'm more motivated than ever to do that due to... So without further ado, let's do that. Actually, first off, what the fuck was I in-depth about? I was not in-depth with the story, I wasn't in-depth about the gameplay, the only thing I was in was over my... just thinking about these two games fills my skull with the ooze of nostalgia. Seriously, the only reason I really wanted to talk about these games was because both of them were a large part of my childhood. Not because I played them, but because my favorite Let's Players at the time, like PewDiePie and Markiplier, played them. So whenever I think about classic PewDiePie, I always think about Afraid of Monsters or Cry of Fear. When I built my PC a little bit ago, the first game I ever got on Steam was Cry of Fear. Anyway, I should probably start talking about the game since this is a video about a game. Well, interestingly enough, this isn't a game. It's a mod of Half-Life 1. Cry of Fear, on the other hand, was its own game, and I believe it was a modified version of the Half-Life engine, which is honestly impressive. Oh yeah, by the way, we're going to be doing the director's cut version because it was the best version and the old version is just a reskin, but this is better. Okay, so it's a start. Okay, so our game starts off with, holy fuck, is that Aphex Twin? Oh shit, it is! Honestly, great music choice for the opening cinematic, cause damn, if it doesn't set the tone, then I don't know what the tone is being set. Who the fuck wrote the script? We then meet our character. This is David Leatherhoff. He looks like a Russian house musician.
Три полоски, три по три полоски, три полоски, три по три полоски, три полоски, три по три полоски. Хардбас тусовки, Адидас кроссовки. Три полоски, три полоски, три полоски, три полоски. Хардбас тусовки, Адидас кроссовки. Три полоски, три по три полоски. На штанах.
According to the mod page, we are here due to a drug addiction, and we've come to this hospital to get help and rehabilitation. Sounds great, right? Well, after psyching himself up in the mirror, in the bathroom, one of the door opens and we are transported to a different place. Very similar to Cry of Fear, design-wise, you know, empty abyss. It's very simplistic, but visually it's appealing. And if Team Siskeller's good at anything, it's audio design. It's interesting seeing that design in Cry of Fear, and it definitely hits the mark here. After passing out for what seems like hours, David finds himself in the hospital, but empty and at night. The hospital level is just dripping with atmosphere. And look at this! A skybox! I love these! I don't know why these are so visually appealing to me. I just don't get it. But as I was saying, at every turn, the hospital is just giving off a very off vibe. There's never really any jump scares here, too. It's all in the ambience and atmosphere. And oh my god, just look at the skybox! From the outside scaffolding, we re-enter the hospital from a different window. And is that Neutral Milk Hotel? What is going on here? Well, we have this electric hazard, and hey, where did the tambourine lady go? So here is where the game kicks it up a notch. You see, the game has been doing a lot of building up, letting you explore the first level without any real danger. But in order to progress, you have to turn off the power to the whole building. And right here is when shit hits the fan. Out of the darkness, these Twitchers start running after you, and it really fucking catches you off guard. The music is very tense and makes you feel like you're in a hurry, and what really adds to the experience is this shitty Half-Life flashlight. So with, any other game, the flashlight gives you the ability to see, stuff. But the flashlight in Half-Life just focuses on a certain spot on the floor or wall, and it's very difficult to 100% know what's around you. This is both a blessing and a curse. You can't see shit, which makes it more tense when all of a sudden, out of the darkness, something's coming after you. However... What the fuck is going on? Where's the source of the person? Where is this? Where are you going? Yeah, the whole area is pitch black, and navigating the area can be such a pain. It's in this level, too, where in order to progress, you have to find these buttons that correlate the doors, and, as the game explains, each color button for each color door, like...
Okay, where though?
At least it shows us, but since the level is so goddamn dark, you can barely tell what the general area of where that door is located. And this is the hospital level. Go to the door, click the button, navigate the door, repeat 3 times, you win. I know due to limitations of the game engine, they couldn't really do that much, but this is still frustrating, and I feel as though this could have been handled better. I think what Cry of Fear really did better was the level design of some areas. Like, in that game, there were puzzles, memos, and some real survival horror shit going on. But in this game, like I said, due to limitations, it's a lot of point A to point B stuff. A good romp. Oh yeah, the enemies I should talk about. So, our starting melee weapon is utter garbage. It takes so many fucking hits to kill these guys, it's insane. The strategy I found amusing is just sitting on a box and stabbing them. But these guys are ambushing you at every chance they get, whether they are breaking doors down, coming out of the darkness, or by any other means. And these guys come in a variety of shapes, positions, health, and damage. There are a lot of variations of these guys. Honestly, it shows you how creative you are when you can take the basic headcrab zombies from Half-Life and make them scary. Just by changing their skin, speed, damage, position, fucking everything. You can make these guys terrifying. Okay, so we just fuck off into a different part of the hospital, and this is where the level design changes. Because before, we got to at least explore the area. We got to get familiar with this part of the map. But from here on out, it takes a more point A to point B approach. And honestly, I think this type of level design is suited much better for this kind of game. So there are a lot less frustrating parts where you are trying to figure out where to go or what to do. Also, ammo becomes a bit more plentiful, and as long as you're breaking open boxes, you're not in short supply. What I found interesting about this game is that I was expecting a lot of jump scares, but there were rarely any in this entire game. In retrospect, looking back at my Cry of Fear video, I sort of brushed off a lot of jump scares that happened in that game. But I think why I did that was because I really loved the sound design, and that's what made the game unique. But in Afraid of Monsters, the only jump scares I would consider would be when enemies ambush you. Even then, it's borderline. But Afraid of Monsters has these moments where something will be seen at the corner of your eye with no loud music or anything, but just make you wonder if you really saw something or not. Quick side note, there's this really funny invisible wall that narrows the pathway of this hallway, so that you have to walk into this dude. I don't know, I thought it was funny. I think here the major issue is that a lot of the cool atmospheric drip from the beginning of the game is just gone. Majority of the game from here on out is just walking about. You know, you walk here. You walk there. You walk everywhere. A lot of the scenery is just uninteresting and makes it feel like there's another shooter at this point. By the way, I fucking hate platforming in this game. It is horrible. Seriously, it's the worst. You move around like you are on rollerblades on Butterland. Oh, sorry. I thought I was playing Half-Life mod, not Jet Set Radio, goddammit. Look how long it takes me to get through this shit. Look! I'm getting damaged by the steam, and by the end of it, I went from 80 health to like 20. What the fuck? We do some sewers, cause, you know, this is a horror game, isn't it? And hey, Resident Evil Cold Blood. I'll never review that game. So later we get into the car and we have a nice car scene of nothing. He just drives the car. But that's not the end of our adventure, no! He has a thing in some hallways, and it turns out
David fucking crashed the car.
and I'm gonna come out and say it. Half-Life forests fucking suck. Especially pitch black ones. There's shit in your way, you can't see anything, your battery's at 3%, and everyone hates you! To be honest, I think the forest section of the game picks itself back up, because the ambience fits so well. You don't encounter an enemy in a while, so much like the hospital, it builds up this atmosphere. Also, it's weird walking into these abandoned houses. It's like they are taken straight out of the Blair Witch Project. But much like the city streets, it's a lot of walking from point A to point B. It's not until we get into the mansion level where shit starts getting very good again. Much like the hospital level, it's an area where we gotta navigate, know the doors, find the keys and whatnot. Except this time, the doors have names. Very Resident Evil-like. It's a nice change of scenery. However, later in this level, we have to dig around outside with some other buildings until coincidentally, one of the buttons from the outside unlocks a door at the mansion. It's here we reach the final level, Heaven. This is probably the most visually appealing area. There are two paths here that you can take, though. You can either go the route that looks similar to the area in the beginning of the game, or go the other way. Ow! We'll get to this area later, but let's look at the other area first. What I find interesting here is that there's no psycho scary areas in this game. Cry Fear had its moments of like spooky, not real happenings. But Afraid of Monsters only goes into that territory at the end of the game. In this area, there's a lot of platforming and cool shit to look at, and the very last thing we have to do is fight a bunch of bullshit enemies that are fast, have way too much health, and die a bunch. You know, like a Half-Life mod. It's here we get the bad end. Our guy wakes up in a house full of dead people with distant sirens.
None of it was real, man. Bro, it was all in your head, bro.
But wait. There's more. So say we went the other direction. Well, here's the good ending path. And you have to find these notes of paper in order to look up the code on the internet, because I'm not going to go through this mod 3 times to find a code that's barely legible. Here it takes us to scenery very similar to the hospital. Except it's wacky! And until the end, we have to fight the final and only boss in the game. Ourselves. You know, symbolism. After beating him, it turns out we are in a drug overdose with doctors looking over our body. And then, we come back alive. I think what I like here is that the good path takes us to the hospital, sort of like us having to go through the trials of rehab and overcoming our obstacles. And the final challenge being ourselves. It's pretty nice, I kind of like that. And the bad ending is just us going deeper and deeper into this rabbit hole. Cinematically, I like how the shot is reversed out of the hospital, while the beginning is opposite. There's other 2 endings, but they're kind of variations on the bad ending. And I don't know how to get them, and I don't want to play this anymore. Like I said before, my brain oozes with nostalgia, and whenever I think about this game and playing it myself was just a trip down memory lane. But I'd say that the middle portion of this game was, you know, your average mod, you know, nothing too special, but the beginning and ending levels were fantastic. I don't really have much to say except I'll probably try to make videos on games I'd said I'd make. Now, if you will, please, let me get back to what I was doing.